Mr. Bradley claims that for 19 years he has wondered who his father was. He hopes that the results from the DNA test today are going to finally give him the answer he has been searching for all his life. Could the defendant, Mr. Tessiner, actually be his biological father? Oh well, here is how the case begins.
Mr. Bradley, you say for 19 years you've wondered, who is my father?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you're hoping today's DNA test solves your intricate family mystery. Mr. Tessiner, you claim you are 100% sure you are not Mr. Bradley's father.
Yes, Your Honor.
You say another man is on his birth certificate.
This case is definitely not going to be an easy one. Mr. Tessiner says that he is 100% sure that he is not Mr. Bradley's father. Mr. Tessiner says that another man's name is on the birth certificate, and he is certain that the dates of conception don't align.
Not knowing the identity of your father.
It was really tough going to my football games, not having a father there at my football games. I joined Boy Scouts. I had to go with a friend and his father, and kind of felt like a third wheel when I watched them.
You can tell that growing up without a father has been very difficult for Mr. Bradley. He says that he always felt like a third wheel anytime he went out with his friends and their dads. Man, if I didn't have my dad while growing up, my life would have been miserable.
You were 18 years old.
Correct.
Mr. Tessiner, please explain to the court why you're so sure you're not Mr. Bradley's father.
We only dated for about a month. I remember pulling over on the side of the road one time to make out. I cannot even remember having sex with her.
Wow. I wonder why Mr. Bradley's mother kept the pregnancy a secret from him. Mr. Tessiner explains that he never knew about a baby, and he only got to know when his sister brought Mr. Bradley to his house and told him that he was the father. He even says that he doesn't remember sleeping with Mr. Bradley's mother.
What happened during that time when you found out you were pregnant?
I had, thought I had told Mr. Tessiner that I was pregnant. I'm not sure on that.
So what he's saying may be true.
Right.
You may not have even told him.
Right. And when I had my son.
That's true. The certificate should have been left blank if she truly claims that she wasn't sure who the father of the child was. Mr. Bradley's mother admits that it's possible she didn't tell Mr. Tessiner about the pregnancy because at the time she thought it belonged to her ex-boyfriend.
And I've watched the gentleman in question sign papers. He knows how to sign his name.
So this is another man other than you?
Another man be signing the birth certificate by court order. If you look in the right-hand corner, it says by court order unless DNA was done then.
So, Ms. Bradley, let me ask you, why did this other man sign the birth certificate?
The court ordered someone on the birth certificate.
Ah, I think we see what's going on now. Mr. Bradley's mother explains that she initially thought the child belonged to her ex-boyfriend. But as Mr. Bradley started to grow, she noticed that he started to look more like Mr. Tessiner rather than the ex-boyfriend.
So you're saying the other man took a paternity test, was confirmed to be the father, and that's why he was responsible for child support.
That's what I heard. Why is she going after the other man for child support in 1984? And he's a roofer, and roofers only works part of the time.
Damn, that can't be true. Or could it? Mr. Tessiner says that Mr. Bradley's mother is playing mind games. He says that he believes that the only reason Mr. Bradley's mother is saying he is the father is because he is doing way better financially.
Tell me about your relationship with the other man.
I talked to the other man, and I asked him myself point blank, I said, was there a DNA test done? He said no. When I was 18, I made her go pick him up, and I told him in the car.
This case just keeps getting more intense. Mr. Bradley says that he asked his mother's ex-boyfriend, who he thought was his father, if a DNA test was ever done, and he said no. What's even crazier is that the ex-boyfriend's sister told him that his mother was already pregnant before she started dating the ex-boyfriend.
Like I said, we only slept together once. If we slept in, I remember pulling over on the side of the road to make out, but I honestly do not remember having sex. I had sex with her sister before I did her, and I remember that. And if I can remember that, why can't I remember her?
Phew, that was one insane confession from Mr. Tessiner. He says that he remembers having sex with Mr. Bradley's mother's sister, but he still doesn't remember ever having sex with Mr. Bradley's mother. Wow.
At that point, did you approach the other man that was paying child support and say, I think we need to do some DNA testing, or I think we need to go to the court because you're responsible for this child support and I don't think it's right?
I went and talked with him.
Looks like at this junction, all Mr. Bradley cares about is getting the results from the DNA test and moving on with his life. Oh well, the results are ready, and the judge is ready to give her verdict. Let's see what the results are.
Is the biological father of Litland Bradley. It has been determined that Mr. Tessiner, you are his father.
Ms. Booker says that since she was a young girl, her mother always told her that Mr. Booker was her father. She goes on to say that when she turned 13 years old, Mr. Chausse, the defendant, told her that he could be her father. Now she is in the courtroom to find out the truth and know who her real father is. This is how the case begins.
You say that since you were a young girl, your mother had always told you that sitting next to me, Mr. Booker, was your father. Then, when you were 13 years old, Mr. Chausse admitted he could be your biological father. Mrs. Chausse, you are Ms. Booker's mother.
At least she admits to her wrong and wants to make things right. Apparently, Ms. Chausse, who happens to be Ms. Booker's mother, says that she was sleeping with both Mr. Booker and Mr. Chausse, and she can't be 100% sure who the father really is.
Mr. Booker was really your biological father.
I first started noticing at a very young age. I have two older sisters, and they're both very skinny with blonde hair and blue eyes.
That's very true. Siblings can actually be very cruel when they want to be. Mama. Booker says that right from a very young age, she started to question the identity of her father because some of her features didn't match with her siblings.
I knew in my heart that my mother was hiding something from me, and I could never get her to admit it until I finally pulled Mr. Chausse aside and I said, look at me, just look in my eyes, just tell me the truth.
Wow, looks like we can blame her mother for all of this. Ms. Booker says that her mother never told her while she was growing up that there could be another possible father. She had to beg Mr. Chausse to tell her the truth before he eventually admitted that there could be a possibility.
He was downstairs doing dishes. I remember like it was yesterday. My father was in bed, and I said, Dad, look at me in my eyes and tell me that there's no absolute chance. And he said, there might be a small one, but she has reassured him. And I said, how is there a chance if you guys have never met before I was born? And he said, we did meet.
Even at the age of 13, that's still a lot of process. I don't know how I would have handled it if my father told me that my mother was sleeping with two men at the same time. Phew, this is one family drama that is about to reach the boiling point, trust me.
And you were having challenges in the relationship.
At the time, Your Honor, I didn't realize we were having challenges in our relationship. I mean, to me, everything was fine.
A swingers club to fix the marriage? In what world does that work? Well, Mr. Booker says that he never knew his marriage with Ms. Chausse had issues. He claims he thought everything was fine. Ms. Chausse flaps back and accuses him of cheating on her in their marriage.
Now, I did not want to do this at all. I had to get half drunk, to be honest with you, to walk into this place. But he said, as a last-ditch effort, Eileen, let's try it. I said, okay. I had kids. I didn't want to be divorced. So we tried.
Wow, looks like the swingers club thingy worked after all. Ms. Chausse tells the judge that she didn't want to divorce Mr. Booker, but she's happy she did because it led her to her soulmate, Mr. Chausse, and they have been married for almost 28 years.
You're upset with her, of course, because you believe she lied and said she never slept with Mr. Chausse until after you were born.
Yes, Your Honor.
But what other evidence did you have that would suggest that she's lying about what happened in the swingers club?
I mean, there are so many questions that still haven't been answered, and it seems like Ms. Chausse is still not telling the whole truth. I can't blame Ms. Booker for not believing anything that comes out of her mother's mouth.
What was your reason for not being honest with her?
In what way, Your Honor? I don't understand the question.
In a major way. Not telling her that there's a possibility that someone else could be her biological father.
Oh.
Oh, wow. Ms. Chausse finally admits and says that the reason she didn't tell her daughter that there was another possible father was because she did want her feeling out of place, and when she looks at her, she sees Mr. Booker. Phew.
Time.
You find out you're pregnant.
Right.
You know it could be Mr. Booker's or Mr. Chausse.
Right.
But you decide I'm going to say it's Mr. Booker's, and I'm going to raise my daughter believing.
Finally, Ms. Chausse finally says the real truth. She tells the judge that the real reason she said Mr. Booker was the father at the time was because she was scared that Mr. Chausse would leave her if he found out she was pregnant.
No.
I did not lie for 27 years.
Mom, you just admitted that you two were together at the same time for the first time to my knowledge today.
That's true.
Why, when I've asked you a million times like a broken record at home all the time, Mom, look at my face and can you lie to me, Mom? Is that my father?
I am not lying.
I'm afraid if they continue to argue with each other, they might start to cry. Well, the moment of truth has finally arrived. We've seen enough of this family squabble. And it's time we see what the results have to say about the whole thing.
Of Booker v. Chausse Booker, pertaining to whether Mr. Chausse or Mr. Booker is the biological father of Susan Booker. It has been determined by this court that Ms. Booker's biological father is Mr. Booker.
Ms. Brown admits that she was once head over heels for the defendant, Mr. Henderson. Now she is in the courtroom to prove to him that he is the father of her 32-year-old son. Mr. Henderson says that he has never met her son and there is no way on earth that he could be the father. This is how their case begins.
Ms. Brown, you admit you were once head over heels for the defendant, Mr. Henderson. Now today you say you're here to prove to him that he is the biological father of your 32-year-old son, Raydell. Now, Mr. Henderson, you have never met Raydell.
Okay, let's be honest. She actually does have pretty eyes. Mr. Henderson says that he is going to prove that he is not the father of her son. But it's weird that Ms. Brown waited for 27 whole years before she decided to come to the courtroom.
About him being a charming, very good looking, Your Honor, we got contact with each other. We started dating, we had a sex relationship, Your Honor, and I became pregnant. He had doubt that that was not his child. Your Honor, being with Mr. Henderson, we continue to have...
Looks like things are about to get intense. Brown says that they got into a relationship and they continued to have sex when she got pregnant. Mr. Henderson remembers things differently. He tells the judge that there was nothing like a romantic relationship when they were together.
All right, so you say you got a team.
Well, I had a team, yes.
So
she was just one member of the team, and
so
she got a cut slip. She knew about it. She knew I had a lot of females.
What you're saying is you were dating multiple women and sleeping with them.
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, that makes things more interesting. Mr. Henderson says that Ms. Brown was just one of the multiple women he was dating and sleeping with at the time. What's funny is that Ms. Brown admits to knowing that she knew he had other women he was sleeping with.
You heard Ms. Brown was pregnant.
Yes, Your Honor.
You said your response was, well, it isn't mine because I know I used protection.
Your Honor, I told her, I know I used protection, but what I did tell her, Your Honor, only way I'm going to believe the child is mine.
Dung! Ms. Brown is one hot-tempered woman. Mr. Henderson says that when he found out she was pregnant, he wanted her to get a DNA test done. The moment he told her that, she disappeared, and he never heard from her till this day. Ms. Brown, however, says that he has all the time in the world to contact her, but he refused to do so.
Someone else told him.
No, they didn't. I told him.
So you told him?
I told him. And guess what?
Afterwards.
He came and saw Raydell at a baby. He said he looked like me.
That's not true, Your Honor.
But he couldn't tell because
That's
Raydell
not
was
true,
such a
Your Honor.
baby. He even
That's not
kept
true.
Raydell when Raydell was a baby for me to go to court. He even came and brought him Pampers. He even came to the house and looked at him and played with him.
Getting these two to agree doesn't seem like a possible option. Ms. Brown says that she remembers when Mr. Henderson came to see her son, and he told her that the child looked like him. She even says that he cut her son's hair, but as you'd expect, Mr. Henderson denies it all.
We had no contact. I was out. I was a dancer, I was modeling, I was still getting into my broadcast situation. I was also doing radio, so I was gone a lot. I was never home, so I never had contact.
So at the point
Well, you can tell that Mr. Henderson really doesn't want to be the father of Ms. Brown's son. He tells the judge that even after breaking off things with Ms. Brown and knowing she was pregnant, he never bothered to look for her and find out if the child was his.
I can see it was difficult for you to sit through all that testimony.
Yes, ma'am.
And I can see the hurt in your eyes, and I understand. What would you like to add?
Chris, say what you got to say. I've been with you all these many years. You ain't lost nothing yet. You look just like the man.
Thank Judge Lauren. Their yapping was really starting to get on my nerves. The judge wants to hear from Mr. Brown. Ms. Brown and Mr. Henderson won't even let the poor boy speak. You can see in his eyes that he has been through a lot.
Your Honor, one thing I have to say is, like, my grandmother raised me. I mean, like, I made different, choices in my life that led to me joining gangs because I ain't have no father in my life. And it hurt. You know what I'm saying? My mom, she was there, but she wasn't in the house like she was supposed to.
Wow. That is honestly so sad. Mr. Brown says that this is the first time he is seeing Mr. Henderson, and he says that they look just alike. His childhood without a father was so bad that he ended up joining gangs. Phew, Mr. Henderson is going to hate himself if it turns out that he is the father.
And you've heard he was looking for you. You did make the call.
Yes, Your Honor. I looked at it like this. I remember back in time, but I grew up myself without a father in the home. You know, so I know every man want to know where they come from, you know, and when he called me and when I spoke to him, it was like, we're going to find out. I didn't want to shun the young man.
Isn't that interesting? Mr. Henderson says that when Mr. Brown reached out to him on Facebook, he never denied him or said he was not the father. Somehow, I feel that's a lie. Well, the results would give us all the answers we need, and here they come.
In the case of Brown versus Henderson, pertaining to 32-year-old Raydell Brown. Mr. Henderson, you are not his father.
Oh, no!
I told you.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Ms. Lee is bothered by the fact that she doesn't know if the man who raised her as a child is actually her biological father. She is stuck between believing that her father could be who she thinks is her father and a man who passed away. Let's hope she is able to get her answers today. The case begins like this.
Ms. Lee, you stand before the court with a question you say haunts you each. Is the man who raised you your biological father or another man who is now deceased?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, Ms. Fran, you're here along with your brother who's waiting outside of our court.
That must have been one hell of a deathbed confession. Ms. France says that her father, who is now deceased, told her before he died that he fathered a Sonia. Could Ms. Lee be the woman he was talking about? Could Ms. Lee be her sister?
Well, Your Honor, from the beginning of this has been real confusing and overwhelming. Mainly because I only knew one man to be my father my whole life until he died. And me and my father was very close. I never heard of Mrs. Francis' father until I was 38 years old.
That is so sweet to hear. Ms. Lee tells the judge that she has always loved the man who she has known all her life to be her father. He treated her like a baby girl, and it's heartbreaking that she now has to question if he was her real father. Wow, I can't believe what I just heard. Ms. France tells the judge that right from when she was 6, she was told that she had a twin sister out there who she never knew. The crazy thing about her story is that even her kids are best friends with Ms. Lee's kids, and they still never knew each other. Imagine that.
The whole time I was growing up, I heard of Mrs. Lee. I was always told that I had a twin in Michigan the whole time. We went to we know the same people. We never even met.
Believe me when I tell you, I am speechless. Ms. France explains to the judge that she was told that Ms. Lee passed away from AIDS. She told her father just before he died, and he told her that it wasn't true, and he wanted them to find Ms. Lee. It was even Ms. France's sister that found Ms. Lee.
I need you to explain that. You were told Sonia had passed away of AIDS.
Yes, in the 91. We were informed that she had passed away, been doing bad, and she had AIDS and she passed away. And when I came...
I can't imagine the shock when Ms. Davis found out that Ms. Lee was not dead. Ms. Davis, who happens to be Ms. France's sister, breaks down the story and tells the judge that it was when she hopped on Facebook after her dad's passing that she finally found Ms. Lee.
How doing it?
Well, I started on Facebook and I up the search looking for Sonia Miller.
Sonia Miller.
We thought she was Sonia Miller, but I couldn't find her at all.
Come on, that's probably what anybody in her shoes would do. Ms. Lee says that when she finally responded to the Facebook message and Ms. Davis spilled the tea on how she might have another father, She didn't believe it because it was a lot to take in, and she already knew one man as her father.
They were looking for their sister. And so at this point, I'm like, so I kept ignoring it. Maybe after 3 or 4 messages to where Miss Davis, I responded to Miss Davis. I called her and she just started spilling the story out, and it was like, whoa.
That's really, really sad. Ms. Lee explains that she was hurt by the fact that everyone except her knew that there was a chance that she could have another man as a father and also have siblings she had no idea about. I would also be heartbroken if I were in her shoes.
Just like Miss Fran said, our kids were our friends, already claiming each other as cousins without knowing enough. Ability, they claimed each other as cousins. And not knowing did hurt me. Yes, I had a father.
It's a beautiful thing that she has such a sweet spirit. She says that she wants to get down to the bottom of the whole thing so she can know for sure if Ms. France and Ms. Davis are actually her sister and start to bond with them. If only their father were alive to clear this mess.
Or even not liking each other, whatever the case may be. Still today, there's gonna be some that's...
As you stand here today, even though you talk about the experiences you could have had, you also still sound doubtful, in a sense.
Wow, it's all starting to make sense. Ms. Washington, who is Ms. Lee's mother, says that she was involved with Mr. Lee years ago. Mr. Lee left her to be with Ms. Davis and Ms. Francis' mother, but came back to take care of her when she was pregnant. After the birth, he disappeared again.
And it was things going on. I did have the right to know. You like to say, at the same time, they knew. If he knew, why didn't the men look for me? He come find me. I'm right there.
Ms. Lee isn't happy about the fact that their father never tried to reach out to her when he was alive. Ms. France then explains to her that he did try to reach out, but he had no way of contacting her, and that's why he never did. Well, we've gone back and forth. I think it's time to see the DNA results.
Case of Lee v. France Miller as to whether Sonia Lee is related to Ronald Miller and Rachel France, biological daughter of the late Ronald Miller. Ms. Lee, indeed, your biological brother and sister.
Mr. Jackson says that 41 years ago, he was falsely accused of fathering a child, and that accusation has ruined his life in all ramifications. He hopes to prove today that he is not the father of the defendant, Ms. Jackson. Ms. Jackson, on the other hand, claims that he is the only man she has ever called dad, and she has no idea why he is trying to deny her. The case starts this way.
Mr. Jackson, you say that 41 years ago, you were falsely accused of fathering a little girl, and that accusation has ruined your life, cost you tens of thousands of dollars, steady employment.
That's sad. Judging from what he just said, it seems like Mr. Jackson has been through a great deal of stress having to take care of Ms. Jackson and be her father. But if he claims to not be the father, why then was he named as her father? Something definitely does not feel right with what he just said.
I've been paying support since I was maybe 30, Your Honor. I started working for a private contractor. For 18 years, Your Honor, I did not know that I owed child support. And I get a job with a paycheck.
Damn! Now it makes sense when he says that child support ruined his life. $25,000 in debt is crazy. The fact that he is even 63 years of age makes it 10 times worse. The question still remains, how did he end up paying for a child he claims not to be his? This definitely didn't happen out of the blue.
It mentioned, things like, he didn't think that, he was the only man that my mom slept with. And
how old were you when he was saying this?
I was like 9 or 10 or 11 years old.
At 9 or 10, you were having to process that information?
Yes.
Mr. Jackson, did you tell her that young that...
Oh, so that's what she means when she calls him her homie? Interesting. Ms. Jackson says that she had a relationship with Mr. Jackson, but it was not the father-daughter type of relationship you would expect. A homie can't be your dad, that's for sure.
What's the nature of the relationship with Ms. Jackson's mother?
At the time I was married.
Oh, okay.
And I knew it was wrong, but I did it.
So what happened when she told you she was pregnant?
I told her it was not my child, Your Honor.
Did you say that because you didn't believe that was your child?
His wife must really love him. Going back to him after he cheated on her with Ms. Jackson's mother? Wow, at least he admitted to the fact that he denied the child because he didn't want it to ruin his marriage. but denying a child doesn't mean the child isn't yours.
How did you know as a child that he knew, Mr. Jackson, where you and your mother were?
Well, he's on my birth certificate first and foremost.
He is?
Yes, he's on my birth certificate.
Okay. Do you have that birth certificate here?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it. Jerome, can you hand me that? So, did you know you were on the birth certificate?
No,
did you
I
sign
didn't.
it?
I never signed nothing, Your Honor.
Now I see what's going on. Mr. Jackson's name is on her birth certificate, but he says that he never signed the birth certificate because he was never at her birth. She also claims that the name written on the certificate is what Ms. Jackson's mother used to call him, meaning she's the one that put the name on the birth certificate. Wow.
So that I could buy ice cream. And he told me he didn't have it. And I said, well, do you have 10 cents, 15 cents,
Juanisha.
a nickel? And he said that he didn't have either or. But I would see him go to the liquor store and buy alcohol or whatever he would, buy for himself, but he couldn't even give me 25 cents
That part is
to buy
not
an
true
ice
at all,
cream.
Your Honor.
Ouch. That is coming from a place of heart. You can tell from the way she's talking and looking at Mr. Jackson dead in the eyes. He really hurt her as a kid, and it seems like she has not forgiven him for all the trauma he put her through.
Have family members that stutter as well.
And then she talked about, in her testimony just recently, having to deal with a slight level of stuttering. Is the severity or lack thereof any indicator?
No, you can have someone in a family who is severely, profoundly a stutterer, and then you can also have someone that is a mild stutterer as well.
Even with the expert analysis, Mr. Jackson sticks to his story and says that Ms. Jackson is not his daughter. Phew, it's honestly starting to get tiring at this point. If only her mom was here to give her side of the story, maybe trying to get the truth won't be so difficult.
This is your stepfather.
Yes.
And what testimony would you like to offer to this court today?
Well, as far as my dad, he's cool. And I know that growing up, it was hard for him to do what he wanted to do for us because he had no money. We still ate, we still had clothes and everything, and he never neglected none of us, none of his real biological kids or his stepkids. He treated us all the same.
And there goes the confession from Mr. Jackson's stepson. He claims that his dad would never have denied Ms. Jackson if he knew that she was his daughter. Even with the debt he owed, Mr. Jackson always made sure his kids were well taken care of. At this point, I think we should see the results.
In the case of Jackson Jr. versus Jackson, when it comes to 41-year-old Quanisha Jackson, it has been determined by this court, Mr. Jackson Jr., you are her father.
Sorry.